should we really expect a housing crash, or is this going to just be a reset to a new normal where prices come down just a little bit more, but not going to have the crash that everybody's been calling for on social media? Hey, this is Attorney Drew Page. Welcome to the Drew Page channel. In this video, I want to talk about the news that came out about housing prices and talk about whether we should just cut off buying and wait for a magical crash to happen, or if we should continue with a plan, kind of like in the stock market where you're dollar cost averaging stocks and just continue to dollar cost average in your real estate and adding to your real estate portfolio, or if you should just throw it out. And my thoughts on it, and I would love to hear yours as well. If you find this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit the notification bell. The news came out on CNBC yesterday, I believe it was. It may have been a couple days ago, that the housing prices have cooled. And they made a big deal out of it, saying that it was cooling at an extraordinarily rapid rate. And they based it on the fact that in July, the housing prices were up about 15.8, 15.9% year over year, whereas the August prices were only up 13 something percent. So they said that that drop was a huge acceleration in the fall of prices, and so they're essentially arguing that the housing prices are coming down. It's all based on the interest rates and all of that, and it may, and there may end up being a housing crash. I know that Robert Kiyosaki has said that he's staying away from real estate. He's focusing in on silver, gold, and Bitcoin. But that's primarily due to financial regulations, the government, and all that type of stuff. So I'm not sure that he is convinced that there's actually going to be a housing crash, but there may be. He did indicate that he thought that prices were going to go down, but hasn't really given any kind of explanation. But as I've been thinking through where we're at, and we've seen the market volatility in the stock market and all of that, and with my recent purchase of a development, and getting a great price on it, even in this crazy environment. Now, granted, I got it on a commercial loan, not on a home mortgage loan, which is apparently the thing that's got everybody going nuts over. But at the end of the day, is it really going to be so devastating? And it may. Again, I'm not a real estate assessor. I'm not I'm not a realtor. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. So, I'm just giving you my thoughts, my opinion, and my process. And I'm just curious about what you all have to say. And maybe you just say you're dead wrong. You're way off base. But here's the thing: is when there were talks on the news too about Blackstone no longer buying homes, and that they're significantly cutting their real estate purchases. That's true, but it's not the whole story. I went back and looked at that article again, and it says that they are stopping additional purchases in certain cities, but it never says that they are stopping purchases at all. Now, if we're talking about some national recession where everything is going down, why wouldn't they just put a halt to all real estate purchases? Why wouldn't they wait for everything to drop down? Why would they continue to purchase in certain areas if there's going to be this national housing crash? And so when I'm thinking through this, I'm like, okay, housing prices are still up year over year. They've fallen, I guess, 2 something percent based on the CNBC article. But in my area, they're actually still high and going up. I got an offer on a house that I bought at auction for 50 grand back in 2018. And I got an offer for almost double that. And that was just from an investor. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I'm not going to sell it either, because I don't like selling real estate that I've got good tenants in and getting good cash flow, which we'll deal with that in a little bit. But I mean, I was just shocked. I was like, it was unsolicited. They just sent an offer in to buy the house. I'm like, no thanks, I'm not going to do that. And then in July, I did sell one of my properties where I was not getting good tenants. and I sold that for over asking price. And so I just don't see the same situation, at least here, that I see on YouTube where everybody's like, "Oh, it's a recession, it's a housing crash, get ready." And maybe it is. Maybe the interest rates haven't kicked in, and because of mortgage rates, going up, presumably, it's going to price some people out. But who is it pricing out? It's pricing out those who are in the lower to lower middle class. It's not necessarily pricing out those who are at the top of the market. Interest rates don't concern those who are able to pounce on opportunities. So if prices drop, 10, 15%, which I don't know whether they will, I'm sure they will in some places. But people with money are still going to invest it. And what's going to happen is those who are at the low end or the lower middle class, and maybe even the middle class, are going to end up being priced out of homes, which is going to cause them to have to do what? They're going to have to rent. And so what does that do for investors who are at the upper middle to higher level? Well, they're going to be able to buy properties and be able to rent them at higher rents to take care of the higher interest rates. So again, I just bought that development. I got it a week or so ago. I mean, you see the video. You can go back and check it out. People said I was crazy for buying a development in the middle of a housing crash, and maybe I am, and maybe it'll prove to be disastrous. But in a week, I got 2 units rented, and it was for double the value of what the rent was for the previous owners who had never raised their rent. And there's going to always be that opportunity to be able to get cash flow from real estate. So I don't think that there's going to be this massive crash like in 2008, 2009, 2010. I just don't think that's going to happen. That's just my opinion. And obviously I'm putting it out there, so I could be very wrong. And if I am wrong, then great. Then I'm going to go out and buy some more at a discount. But my concern is that there are going to be people who are going to wait on the sidelines and be afraid to buy good investment properties. And they're going to wait, and they're going to wait, and they're going to wait. And when they realize that there isn't going to be a crash, it's going to be too late, because these investment firms or investors are going to come in and buy these homes, and they're going to be renting them out. That's what I think is going to happen. Let me know what you think. That's just my analysis on it. This is just based on what I see going on around here. It's what I see based on the fact that these firms are still buying. They're still buying. Make no mistake. They are still buying in certain areas. They have just stopped in certain places. So maybe your area will have that recessionary factor, but that doesn't mean that that's going to be the case for everyone. And so you need to make sure that you are seeking wise counsel, that you're investigating, that you're talking to realtors, talk to loan processors, mortgage brokers, talk to people in the business of real estate in your area and see, look, hey, are prices really coming down, or are they still being propped up by all this COVID money that's out there that states and localities haven't even spent yet? But if you look at what the big companies are doing, they're still spending money, and there are going to be people who are priced out. So you need to make sure that you're doing your investigating, you're looking around, you're talking to people with knowledge about it, and don't end up getting caught too late and not being able to get an investment property, because those are really important keys to your wealth building process. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think there is actually going to be a housing crash, or do you think that it's being a bit overblown and that there's going to be some people who are going to be left out in the future and going to be stuck paying rent because they didn't end up getting houses? Let me know down in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit the notification bell, and until next time, stay tuned.